Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. We're live at long last with the, not with the grand finals, with our grand finals day for the WePlay.tv Dota 2 League. It's a quadruple header coming your way, and we're going to start today's action off with Evil Geniuses versus Evil Geniuses. Just kidding. Evil Geniuses versus the Alliance. This one a best of 3. It's an AP remake of game number 1. It's going to be a fantastic day. It's been a long journey through the WePlay.tv League. We started, I think, almost 2 months ago at least. We started with 5 rounds of qualifiers. We made our way into our Phase 1 group stages. From there, we moved on into our second group stage, and then finally now into the playoffs. And those playoffs about to reach their climax by the time today is done. Around $10,000 in cash prizes, plus close to another $10,000 in gear will have been awarded to whoever can be victorious. Right now, EG, Alliance, Na'Vi, and Liquid are your 4 teams left standing, but by the time today is done, only one can be the WePlay.tv Season 1 champion. I'm LD of Beyond the Summit. I'm joined here today by Gods. Gods,
I'm going to let you finish, but a big 5v5 team fight's going to happen at level 1 here, LD.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, we don't have time for the BTS logo. Yeah. Let's just go ahead and skip that and get right inside of game 1.
Look at this aggressive positioning on the map from EG. They dropped down a ward right off the bat, prevent Chen from jungling, and they're looking to get very aggressive. Big thanks to everyone for tuning in who's bared with us with all the rescheduling issues. WePlay decided, yes, they didn't have enough Dota 2, so today we get twice as much. Well, more than twice as much. We get 3 best of 3s and a best of 5 for your grand finals later on today. So tons of Dota 2 action.
In theory, it could be 17 games. That grand finals, there is no winner's bracket advantage. That's the format the organizers decided to go with. So if it all goes the distance, we could be looking at 17 games today.
14. Don't worry, LD. 14 only.
Yeah, Gods is assuming it'll be a bit shorter and sweeter.
No, 14's the most, isn't it?
No,
3 best of 3s and a best of 5. Your math,
right.
LD.
My math is bad. I did warn the viewers in advance. I said, we haven't been sleeping much. We've been very busy preparing for the qualifiers, so the first of what I'm sure is many mistakes to come throughout this broadcast. It begins with my math here today. But Gods, we haven't even gotten to introduce the players or the teams properly because it is an AP remake, so we'll jump right into it. On the side of EG, we've got Demon handling that solo mid Darkseer. And up towards the top lane, Jayo, playing the Gyrocopter, has been pulled quite a bit of regen towards the bottom lane, the aggressive tri-lane for EG. Fear on the Rubik, B-Diz on the Keeper of the Light, and last but not least, Sexy Bambo, not looking so sexy because Lifestealer is kind of a hideous beast, but he's going to be handling that one, so EG on the dire side.
Well, Alliance playing on the Radiant side. We've got Admiral Bulldog on the safe lane, Nature's Prophet. Mid lane is S4 on the Batrider, who we've got to keep a close eye on because here comes a very early level 1 gank from EG. They've got both Beaters and Fear there. They're coming from behind. They really want to get an early kill on S4.
Oh, this is just not going to happen. He'll Firefly up the cliff. I just can't see him going down here. It was a great telekinesis.
No vacuum. Oh, okay. Telekinesis brought him back down. No, so S4 gets out of there to introduce the rest of Alliance. We've got Loda playing the PA on the top lane. We've got EGM on the Windrunner. And then Aki, he's the one handling the Chen.
And we'll see a little bit of aggression thrown out by Alliance, trying to kind of drive Jayo out of the lane, but realistically, they're not going to go on him, not just yet. You don't want to be tanking that Rocket Brood. So we've seen a lot of early movement. Ake having his own jungle warded, 3 wards to be exact, completely denied access to that jungle. He'll try and rotate his way into the Evil Geniuses jungle, but little does he know, Fear's made his own way up here. Now he knows, as the Ursa Warrior is spotting him out, the Hellbear Smasher, as it were. And it looks like we'll see an aggressive tri-lane emerge for the Alliance, and in the end, EG, they place 3 aggressive wards in the enemy jungle, and now they're just going to defensive tri-lane to match the defensive tri-lane of the Alliance. Yeah. So my question for you, Gods, how effective are those wards?
Well, they'll definitely... right now, they're doing very little.
And while I'm asking you, we get off to a great start. S4 goes down middle lane. Demon finds a solo kill. Not something you see very often in the Batrider vs. Darkseer matchup.
Unusual, unexpected. The early Magic Sick maybe caught the Batrider a bit by surprise, it looks like. But yeah, these wards are going to do absolutely nothing in the jungle here. EG did get thrown off because they wanted to go offensive tri-lane to shut down the PA, but they got forced to send their supports top lane. They wasted a bit of time. But as a result, they will now completely shut down the PA's farm mostly.
So after that first blood in the middle lane, it's a matchup that Darkseer already does decently in, because realistically, a Batrider's not going to kill him before level 6. You can still farm freely with Ion Shell, and if anything, you have the better rune control with access to Surge at the early levels. So Demon, with a fantastic solo kill to start that lane, and getting his team off to a powerful start despite the rotation for the supports. It's not like the Alliance is getting much out of their jungle, and that's something they are known for, is running those defensive tri-lanes and just farming freely on Ake, EGM, always getting tons of levels and experience on his Windrunner. That won't be happening here today, at least not early. They're all level 2, but they're not getting that customary advantage that they're accustomed to from that Chen in the laning stage.
Yeah. I think PA is actually an interesting hero because you're not too bad at fighting in the early levels. As a laning hero, you've got a slow, you've got a blink strike to either initiate or to escape. You've got some inbuilt evasion as well as the ability to detect nearby enemies. So I think PA, in this offensive trial, while it's an unusual one, could still be fairly effective.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes the rest of the way, but obviously the dagger is so good for spamming to get in range for initiation. It can set up Chen creeps very nicely, so sure, they don't have something like a Shadow Demon, but often a PA, we've seen, can fill in a pinch in that regard, and obviously it'll give you that late game potential if it goes later. If she gets into trouble, that's where a well-timed Shackle Shot, potentially even a Prophet Teleport, a Chen Sendback can turn the lane around. So the one nice thing with PA is no matter what happens, you can farm with the dagger as well to some extent. And Loda is getting decent farm, 16 and 6, but we look towards the bottom lane. Bambo doing even better, already 22 and 5. And then the good news is for the Alliance, despite that first blood, S4, he's 28 and 7, so still farming quite well.
Yeah, Demon's losing out in the farm battle, which is not what you normally expect because he just needs to pop an Iron Shell and some creeps and normally you get some farm, but it hasn't happened so far for Demon. Bit of bad luck, also just some great denies coming out from S4.
These creeps not cooperating with Loda. He goes to try and farm the neutral spawn, and unfortunately for him, does get Centaur stomped for his trouble, but now he's going to be using the pulls of EG potentially against them. We'll see a rocket come in. EGM forced to back off for the moment. Power shot comes through. Might have clipped one creep from long range. Loda, once that Centaur, cannot find it. That would have been a big boon for him if he was able to snipe it, but unable to do so. Ake has journeyed all the way back to his own jungle, but he's found 3 wards here. He'll start to deward now. I think he's just in range for this one.
Yeah, just in range for both of them, it looks like. We're just going to help him out. Nature's Prophet at bottom has gone for early phase boots, which is a build we're seeing a lot of by these Western players. He's actually getting initiated on here by Bambo. I don't see Bambo finishing him off. Bulldog TPs to his tower.
Meanwhile, top lane, Loda's eating a missile, and now on the run. Is he going to be able to get out of here? It looks like he will just barely escape. But the killing potential is there.
Bottom.
And now back to the bottom lane, where it looks like Bambo should be fine with his phase boots.
Phase boots and raids. There's not really any way to pick him off, but he's going to be forced to sort of back off a bit. And he hasn't got any HP regen. He already used his Infest on a creep to heal himself up once, so he's got to almost leave this lane at this point or ferry himself some regen.
Lots of posturing for both teams all over the map. A lot of movement, more so from the Alliance than from EG. They rotated top, but they found themselves a comfortable nest here and have just sort of set up shop, continuing to stack and pull, spam the Illuminate to slow down Loda. And right now, looking at the trades, for the Alliance, what they really have going for them is this Bat Rider. And the Prophet for Admiral Bulldog doing pretty well, but obviously Nature's Prophet, a hero that is kind of hit or miss how much impact he can have in the mid game. So for me right now, it's all about S4. With this decent early start despite the first blood, he's winning middle lane in terms of CS. What is he going to be able to do with that in the mid game? Because right now Loda, he's farming okay, but PA needs quite a bit of farm to really have an impact later on against the amount of magical damage and AoE that EG has. He will need a BKB as this game goes later, and he's nowhere near it just yet. So let's keep an eye on S4. I feel he's the key for the Alliance, as he so often is.
Yeah, and he does luck out and get the haste rune at levels at the 6-minute mark. Both the heroes went different directions. He gets it. Demon now in a bit more trouble. He's going to be forced to bottle Crow, it looks like. So not going to be too worried there himself. He's actually going to back off into his own jungle. Probably look to start stacking and farming there because Batrider, level 7, combined with the Nature's Prophet, Ultimate and TP, that can be easy kills.
Both teams just continue to play rather passively here. We will see Loda forced to head back towards the base, taking a lot of harassment, and it's the power of the Keeper of the Light tri-lane. Even something like Flat Cat and Jo could just spam that, drive him off slowly but surely, and for Loda, it's where you would love to have a Ring of Health and then probably Tranquil Boots on top of it, realistically, to stay in the lane. It's just so much spammable harassment coming his way, and for the moment, he's back to base. Same for EGM. So nobody getting anything out of that lane, whereas EG freely farming their own jungle, freely farming the bottom lane as well for Bambo. I gotta say, gold-wise, experience-wise, it's a lead for the EG, even though we're seeing S4 farm incredibly well in that middle lane, and it's really gonna be a question of who's gonna have the better movement as we head towards the mid-game.
Well, they now bring Loda bottom. They decide he's had enough of this trailing, especially the trailing now that they have levels. Level 6 Gyrocopter with level 3, level 4 on the supports. It's death if he ever gets lifted by a telekinesis.
Uh-oh. We're going to see a teleport into the top lane. S4, he's been given the tough task of trying to deal with this tri-lane. All 3 heroes starting to work on that tower. He'll Firefly The missile's going to drive him off of the tower for the time being. Meanwhile, in the jungle, it looks like Bambo really trying to usher Ake out, driving him back into the jungle, forcing him to retreat a bit, and now Bambo will find a haster, and this could be a potential killing opportunity for him. Who would he look to go on? Ake would really be the ideal choice right now. He is spotted, of course, by a Radiant Ward. Bambo's going to move towards the middle lane. Can he find a target? S4, Firefly should be off cooldown. Actually, not for 15 seconds. If they wanted to go, well, it would be a good moment, but S4 is hiding way back.
And, well, Lifesteal, he gets seen by the Chen creeps here, so Bambo gets scouted. He's going to head back towards bottom lane, look to probably just compete for farm with Loda. Loda himself, phase boots as well. When there's all these good chasing heroes, you need the extra mobility from these phase boots.
Yeah, and between having Stifling Dagger, which is probably the most spammable stuff in the game, he will actually be infest bombed right now, and Bambo not actually going to commit to that, so just getting a little bit of extra regen out of the lane. Generally, you want to kind of save your infest for when you really need it as a get-out-of-dodge free card, but for the moment, he'll continue to farm this bottom lane. But yeah, with the Stifling Dagger, as well as the phase boots, like you were mentioning earlier, you could chase all day.
Yeah, and right now, I think EG just using some of these spells more liberally, like the Infest, just because they're not looking to get too active ganking. They're quite happy with the momentum this game's going at. You mentioned Demon free farming the jungle, they've got Geo getting free farm at top, and Lifesteal having a pretty decent time at bottom. The problem is, it's the same case for Alliance. You've got Nature's Prophet now looking towards a Midas, and maybe Alliance even start taking down some towers here. They've got 3 heroes grouped up at bottom.
You know, looking towards the mid-game, I feel for the Alliance, there's one key item. It's going to be the S4 Blink Dagger, and aside from that, maybe the mechanism on Ake as we head more towards the mid-game, but once they get this Blink Dagger, they already have Bulldog with level 8, pretty highly leveled for Nature's Prophet, as he did get that solo lane not forced into the jungle early on. I expect we're going to see them start to try and find some kills and disrupt EG a little bit, because truth be told, EG don't have a whole lot of ways to deal with this Batrider. Aside from a Telekinesis Lift, there's not much you can do when he jumps in and grabs, say, a Keeper of the Light.
Yeah, and Alliance have now even given a solo lane to the Windrunner to get some XP, some farm as well. EGM up there, up to 750 gold, so probably just see something like some fast Arcane Boots being picked up. He's just going to be looking to hold this tower alive as long as possible. And the entire Alliance team, you see 5 heroes almost farming in 5 different locations.
They're getting as much as they can everywhere they can. S4 will be gone onto by Bambo. He's going to man up here. He will be lassoed. Can they bring him up onto the high ground? They don't want to. He'll pop inside a handy Chen creep. Thank you, Ake, Bambo says. But now he's not so thankful as he gets caught, surrounded, and picked off by 4. Looked like potentially a bad spot for Ake, but in the end, too much damage. Now Loda getting caught by the rotation from Fear and Demon. They came down the bottom lane. Now they run into the enemy jungle on the chase onto Ake. A beautiful body block. That Wildkin doing work and bringing Ake back to safety. When it's all said and done, it will be a 1-for-1. They lose Loda, but they get Bambo. So what do you think of the trade there overall?
I think it was... I guess for Alliance, they saw they got themselves a guaranteed kill, but I think what they lost, they probably wasn't quite worth it. Loda at this point is really key for them, whereas Bambo, he's already got his early levels, his early farm. Slowing down his armor or whatever it may be a little bit isn't going to matter too much, but both teams will probably just look to settle, get back to farming once again, and a pretty even trade.
This is a pretty fast Blink Dagger from S4. He's already picked it up. We're 11 minutes in.
Yeah.
I would love to see him find a kill with this first Blink Dagger unveiling. It's always really that moment where you get the Blink Dagger, it's an opportunity to find a kill. They won't necessarily be prepared for it. And speaking of preparation, EG, no lane wards top. They have 2 observer wards actually parked mid. I find this interesting since Demon is not an easy hero to kill in general, but really wanting to make sure they spot the movement of the Chen, I imagine.
Yeah, Demon is going to be going for that fast mech as well, so once that's up, EG can really look to stick his 5 Gyrocopter. A lot of early farm as well, uncontested, so maybe we see him go for a fast BKB or something like a Drum of Endurance to help for that big 5-man Dota that EG can pull out. With a Keeper of the Light, Darkseid with a mech, Gyrocopter, they've got a great lineup for that, and Lifesteal as well, just that great frontline tank.
The Alliance have a decent 5-man lineup, I would say. Batrider can be good in 5-man engagements if you find the early pickoffs. He generally doesn't want to jump into the middle of 5 heroes all at once, but if he picks one off, then he can chase to the next. PA, the same kind of story. So for the Alliance, once Chen gets a mech a little bit stronger of a 5-man composition, there will be a haste room picked up towards the bottom side of the map by Demon. And S4 now on the run. The vacuum not going to bring S4 back on the cliff. Now Demon, will this be his downfall? Lasso was stolen by Fear, but can he do anything with it? For the moment, not. Demon will go down. So once again, the Alliance, this seems to be really a good place for them. This area of the map, 2 kills now secured right there. First on Bambo, and now another on Demon. So that's 2 core heroes dying in the space of just a few minutes.
Yeah, and S4's farm is ridiculously good. It seems the one thing that Alliance have sort of been giving up is gyrocopter free farm, but you look at his CS, you look at his items right now, it's not all that scary. He's just hovering around the same mark as other heroes like the Lifesteal or the Darkseer, and Nature's Prophet, Batrider actually leading there. He does pick up a fast drum of endurance, so EG are looking to go for those early game items.
Yeah, let's see where he goes from there. I love getting those early game items because, like you said, they have the stronger 5-man composition, at least through the mid-game. Once PA gets big enough with, say, a BKB, I feel potentially she can help them take those 5v5 clashes if Admiral Bulldog has something like a Scythe device. But for the time being, getting those cheap, cost-efficient items, things like Drum, things like Mechanism, even, say, something like an Urn, or potentially an Armlet for a Lifestealer, which does appear to be the choice. They can go, they're going to Surge in Fear. He'll lift up, remember, he's got the lasso, he'll pull Loda back in now. Fantastic little combo from these two, but Loda looking for a blink out. He'll find it, and in the end, the damage, the burst, just isn't there.
Yeah, the vacuum did not land. The blink strike onto S4 made him get out of range of the vacuum, and as a result, Demon and Fear don't get that kill, so they invest quite a bit into that. It's really hard to find an opportunity to use Lasso as a Rubik. It's really not a very good spell to be stealing at this stage of the game, but they almost made something with it there.
That was by far the most creative option they had at their disposal. It's just, unfortunately, Fear needed a Surge and a Force Staff. If he had both, then I think they find that kill, but without it, not quite enough. Can't really be expected to have a Force Staff at 14 minutes in, so it continues to be a fairly passive game. Despite the early Blink Dagger on S4, we're looking at about a 1,500 gold lead right now for the Radiant side, for the Alliance, 1,000 experience lead, and now we'll see a missile onto EGM that will force a teleport towards the top lane. I think that got cancelled, actually, and now the Alliance will smoke and head towards the top lane. Firefly available, S4 lurking in the river. He's got the blink, but this is a dangerous group to go on. Demon, no mech completed yet. He'll catch out Beatiz. He'll pull him back in to the Ake army. Will Beatiz drop here? It looks like it. Vacuum and cooldown, but not quite comboed perfectly. The cooldown looked great. Ended up hitting barely anything. Now S4 on the run. Can he get to the low ground? That's what he needs to do. He's looking for it. EGM fishing for a shackle angle in just 4 seconds. Cannot find it. They will be forced back. So in the end, they get a pick and they get out. And it's sort of what I was mentioning earlier, is EG doesn't really have a whole lot of ways to stop that Batrider when he jumps in.
Yeah, and it's more than just a pick there. That's them stopping EG's push. EG were looking to group up and try to take down some towers. They don't succeed in doing it. Alliance get the pick up, and they're also going to get a tier 1 mid tower, it looks like. Beatiz trying to stall this, not able to do so. Loda gets himself a tower, so great play from Alliance. Beatiz just a little bit out of position at that top lane. He was just too far out. Batrider catches him with the blink, and from there, there's nothing EG can do to take that team fight.
It's been kind of a slow, methodical game so far, and for me, that favors the Alliance and their general style. For EG, a team that might sit back and farm until they get their cordons, but they're much more about chaotic fights, just kind of better teamwork, perhaps, in those engagements, and looking to pull ahead through scrappy plays. So far, it's been more of a cerebral game, and the Alliance taking advantage of that, pulling ahead in terms of gold, pulling ahead in terms of experience, and soon they'll be getting some big map control items. The Force Staff for S4 on its way. Staff of Wizardry now picked up. The Midas has been up for quite a while on Admiral Bulldog, and now you'll see him working towards the Shadow Blade, another big map control item. What they really need beyond this is, ideally, as we look towards like that 25-30 minute mark, Loda's BKB will be essential with the amount of magical damage that EG can bring to their disposal, and then Ake's mech, which right now he's fairly close to. So I love the item progression for the Alliance, and I also love how they're not just sitting back and farming. They're continuing to take the fight to EG and spread the map as much as possible.
Yeah, EG Demon's just picked up his mech, but I feel Alliance is all about focus fight. I'm not sure how much the mech is actually going to help.
We'll have to see. Demon surges in, vacuums back Bulldog. Now he's going to eat a slow, and he'll try to teleport out, unable to do so. Too much damage. That's something EG really has in spades. Big burst damage. Something the Alliance sometimes feels to be slightly lacking in. Meanwhile, on the top lane, EGM is going to go for the trade, and we'll see Ake try to slow this push down. Unfortunately, Chain Lightning already feels quite puny. Not going to do a whole lot. Meanwhile, S4, he'll look for the trade as well. So, good reaction by the Alliance. Sensing they can't defend bottom, they'll go for the trade. But overall, you got to say EG's happy with that engagement, especially because it delays what actually is a big item for the Nature's Prophet, that Shadow Blade.
Yeah, killing that Nature's Prophet there was actually pretty clutch, but they are trading tier 1 for tier 1. Loda gets himself another tier 1. He's got phase drum, so pure mobility coming out of him. We'll have to see if he goes probably for the BKB next, maybe even into something like a Manta Star, which does give him some survivability as well, but definitely BKB is a long-term goal of his.
Yeah, you know, it's something where maybe he even waits to pick up the BKB and just get, like you said, a Manta Style, because it still gives you a decent amount of survivability. And the other nice thing is it's a great split push item, and I feel that's really the strength of this Alliance lineup. EG are very strong as a 5-man unit, but Can they actually keep the map pushed out enough to spread as a 5-man unit? Or to group as a 5-man unit? Right now, the Alliance doing their best to spread them. It's a Surge and Fest Bomb. Little bit unconventional, and I'm not sure he'll be able to get in range. It doesn't look like it in the end. So meanwhile, S4 continues to farm towards that Force Staff. Still a 30,000 gold lead.
Is he going to pick up Beaters? It looks like he will. Beaters does drop the ultimate, the Deafening Blast, and that's actually going to save his life, it looks like. Sorry, the Blinding Light, not the Deafening Blast.
Oh, it's a long way to die for Bulldog. He won't commit. He's worried about a Sentry Ward maybe being popped down in the lane, and EG will rotate. It does feel like EG are the ones reacting right now to the movement of the Alliance. And the Alliance seem to be getting a little bit more off the map. EG will group up mid. Are they going to push this tier 1 tower? They could look to do so. You mentioned the early mech. They have Call Down, although Gyrocopter's rotated back towards top, so we're back to farming. The good news for EG, Jo is getting pretty big, and at least there will be that window where Gyrocopter is by far the scariest carry on the map. Because sure, late game PA with a BKB can maybe out-carry the Gyro, at least as far as raw single target physical damage, but Gyro's going to do a whole lot more in team fights. So far, though, EG just can't seem to find those team fights. And I guess my question for you is, what can they do to take advantage of the strengths of their lineup? Because I don't feel like their lineup is really built to just sit back and farm like this all game.
I think they need to look to use some more of these Infest Bombs. Maybe we saw an attempt earlier on with the Darks, and maybe we even see Demon go something unorthodox like a Blink Dagger just to help with those, like, get a Blink Infest going. Get Lifestealer right into the middle of the fight. Darks is kind of like the frontline tank anyway, so having him initiate with a Blink Dagger would be an alright idea here. You just need Jo to back it up with some mobility to get in there nice and fast, but he's got that already. Phase Drums is all you really need.
At the same time, I've been talking a lot about the late game potential of the Phantom Assassin Prophet combo, but of course EG have decent late game of their own, and it appears Jo really wants to maximize his. He's gone for Helm of the Dominator. Unfortunately, unable to actually do much with these Ancients. It looks like the stack was just stolen and farmed by Bulldog from low ground to high ground, so Jo cannot be pleased about that. And the late game option, well, he wants it, he's going for it, but it's being denied to him beautifully by the Alliance right now. Shackle on Bambo, chopped up as he's tied to a creep. Beautiful play.
Way too greedy there. He saw a big creep wave, he got spammed down, and the Shackle sealed his fate. He really wanted to farm that big creep wave, but he paid for it with his life, and now Alliance probably going to get a tier 1 top, tier 1 bottom tower out of this.
S4 is lurking, waiting for a regen rune. That pops all his bottle charges. He's got his Force Staff now. And this is another big opportunity. The Blink Dagger, picking that up is the first one. Now with the Force Staff, much easier to find the pickoffs. And against the Lifestealer, this could be very big. So strategically, I feel like the Alliance are just in a more comfortable position. And EG, despite having that 5-man lineup, if they're not actually grouped as 5, they can't really take full advantage of it. The Alliance seems much better in these 3 or 4 hero skirmishes.
Yeah, and Alliance get themselves another tower. All 3 towers have gone down, have gone to Loader as well.
And they're going to smoke. No, maybe not.
Thinking about it. I love this urn pickup by Windrunner. I mean, you mentioned getting these cheap, cost-effective items. Well, Windrunner's gone for just the perfect one. Having these, like, basically free salves once you get a couple charges, and the stats you get, the mana regen, the plus 3, isn't too bad as well.
They'll just continue to kind of sit on this lane. Yeah, I really agree. Just getting those kind of cheap items that allow you to fuel the push is perfect. And things like Urn, things like Mechanism. Because the Alliance is a team that's really built around getting a pick and then turning it into a tower. And we saw it there. Kill Bambo, take the tower. And we'll see if they can find more. The Shadow Blade, all the items that they picked up, whether it's the items that help them push or the items that help them get pickoffs, like the Blink and the Force Staff on S4. That's really the game plan right now for the Alliance. And so far, they're getting to execute it beautifully. Up by 7,500 gold now, 5,000 experience as well. EG continues to farm, continues to sit back and play rather defensively. It just feels like they aren't getting as much off the map. The Alliance farming their jungle, Loda aggressively parked in the bottom lane. The Alliance farming their own jungle too. EGF even looking to farm a more deeply seated camp of the EG neutrals, so they're just going to be getting more.
Alliance are just more efficient. I mean, you mentioned EG farming, well, Alliance are farming more. Loda's thinking, hey, I can get a solo kill on Beaters maybe. Looks to dive under him at the bottom tower. Not going to commit to that, but Alliance are farming all over the map. They've got all 5 of their heroes can essentially jungle, which is where they can be farming 3 lanes, you can be farming the jungle, you can be farming Ancients. It's so easy for Alliance to be more efficient than EG when it comes to farming.
EG now going to look for a kill of their own. 3 heroes smoked up towards the top lane. They'll park themselves behind Jo, unfortunately, with the tier 1 up. It's going to be very difficult to bring down Bulldog. There is dust on Demon, but diving him this far is very dangerous against a Batrider and a potentially Phantom Assassin. Don't forget there's always the Hand of God that can turn this fight around. There will be a blink and then a pullback. Beat is caught out and picked off behind the tower. The Siege Breaker S4, he does it here. He finds one, they'll look for a tier 2. And EG will try to trade. but it looks like they'll definitely have to back after this tower, else they risk losing a significant amount of HP. If not a tier 3, that will force out a buyback from Vitas. And the Alliance, are they going to back off now? It looks like they will. They're going to look to take this fight top. There is no glyph. The tower, can it be denied by S4? It cannot. Hasteform will bring him away. And then a teleport towards mid. So in the end, they force out the buyback. They get the tower. They get out. But EG, they were desperate for that tower gold. We actually see the graph dip a tiny bit in their favor.
That was good for EG. They got 2 towers. It was a 2-for-1 tower trade, and EG gonna be really happy with that. Buyback for Keeper Light isn't all that expensive. That's just 500 gold of his, which he can farm back pretty fast with all the counter pushing he's doing.
And EG desperately trying to... It reminds me of DreamHack, does it not? With the neutrals being stacked, and then the smoke ganks towards the neutrals, Prophet farming them from the low ground. All these cheeky little plays. At the end,
Same
EG
2 teams as well.
You're right, it really is. Oh man. Little did we know that they were the Alliance back then, though.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. They were already basically confirmed to be sponsored, at least according to what they were saying in interviews that they'd already been picked up. So here we have it, EG on the back foot for sure, and the problem is, like, they have to go try and make something happen. If they sit back, it's the more efficient farming lap of Alliance, which will just quite happily sit back and out-farm you.
And once they get that next set of items, say looking at the Scythe of Vice for Bulldog, the BKB, if Loda wants to go for it, although it appears like maybe he'll even skip it and just go straight into some items that go a bit later, and maybe if he picks up a BKB, it will be one of his last items. And for the moment, gets a Dominator, so he too can stack neutrals if he wants.
He's got a Javelin on the Courier as well, which is possibly, in fact, because you can go through the lifesteal there, but MKB not a bad item as well, considering there is Blinding Light on the field. I keep saying Blinding Light. I'm getting Blinding Light and Deafening Blast mixed up.
Well, they have a similar effect. You're not attacking during that time, or if you are, you're wasting your time.
Pushed back as well, yeah. It's essentially the same spell.
It's a disarm instead of a 100% chance to miss, but effectively, you're not hitting your auto attack. So we'll see what Loda goes for. I'm not sure how I feel about the Helm of the Dominator, because they already have a Chen, and at this point in the game, it's easy enough for Ake to send 1 creep to stack those neutrals, but I imagine maybe he just wants the lifesteal. It does help you stay alive in fights. We'll see a long-range dagger on the Jo. This is dangerous to dive this far, but they're going to go for it now with a blink, a lasso from S4. He'll force him back, pulls him into a lot of pain, and down he goes. It just feels like every time the Alliance wants a gank, they succeed, and when EG goes for them, not able to find them.
Yeah, and Demon now going to be forced back as well. Another dag came out. The great thing about Helm of the Dominator is that the stats it gives, the lifesteal, the armor, the damage, makes it worth its cost, even if you're not using it for the creep control.
And later on, it builds into a Satanic, arguably the strongest late-game carry item out there for a hero like Phantom Assassin, because she already has crazy DPS just from her innate crit, and you throw in a damage item, the Satanic, you have easily 2 lives in the team fight. And that's the one thing for EG is, I mentioned they don't have many ways to deal with the Batrider gods. They don't actually have many ways to deal with this PA. There's not many true stuns. There's only a Rubik Lift and whatever he can steal, so it feels like they have to build things like Scythe of Vice as well as potentially a Basher.
Well, big items coming out for Alliance. They get Roshan, they get the Aegis. Life's still going to have to infest his way through a Chen creep just to back off their S4, no less so for 13 seconds. Can he find anything? Fear with the Blink Lift, they want to get S4 here. He hasn't got the Aegis. He's going to force up to the high ground. S4, back him back down. Nice pick off there. Shackle to Demon. They're trying to get some more pickoffs here. The problem is, Alliance have just got themselves an Aegis. Admiral Bulldog has a Shadow Blade. They're going on to Geo, and Loda is just too damn beastly. He's got one. He's trying to find a second here, trying to chase down Fear. Can he find it? It looks like he's going to have to change target. Aki and Loda, they're going on to Bambo. Loda, man fight, and can he win this man fight? Doesn't look like Bambo can stand it.
Oh, the bash! He gets the bash, and down Bambo should go. Armlet toggling for all he's worth, but in the end, the bash is there, and the bash was what he needed. Just what the Doctor ordered, and the best part for the Alliance, sure they lose S4, they lose Ake, but they hold on to that Aegis, and Loda gets a whole lot of gold.
Yeah, Loda is going to be insanely rich now. He's got 2k gold when he just finished his basher about 30 seconds ago.
Really chaotic fight, and it's scary for EG. When the Alliance lost S4 off the bat, didn't have a lasso or a force staff, didn't have the benefit of that Firefly damage or just the total crowd control provided by Napalm, as well as a Flame Break, and it didn't matter. They just won the fight anyway, and for me, the problem right now is EG just can't seem to land that combo. The vacuum cooldown, unable to really connect with it, and it's hard because they don't have a stun to follow it up. They don't have a Magnus RP, even something like a Sand King, Burrow Strike, a Lina Light Strike Array. Sure, you vacuum them in and you call down on them, but there's just no follow-up, and then to make matters worse, there's a mechanism, there's potentially an urn if a hero gets away from the fight a little bit, and Hand of God, so the Alliance can quickly negate most of that AoE damage, and there just doesn't seem to be that second level of follow-up for EG.
Yeah, EG, they're looking a bit desperate. They are going to go for a 3-man smoke gank here near the Roshan pit, trying to set something up. But what they're going to be able to find, it's probably not going to be a whole lot.
We'll see what they can find. Loda potentially in a bit of a pickle. Oh, he wants to man up. Where's the bash when you need it?
Fine.
Not finding it yet, but he gets a crit. That'll do in a pinch. Loda won't complain there. Fear, he's managed to steal Lasso, but what can he really do in the midst of this chaos? He can find Loda. Remember, Loda does have the Aegis. He'll be coming back even if he goes down. And there's only the Lasso. There's just no follow-up. Loda, you can't keep him down. Finally, he'll fall. Shackle won't quite connect there. EGM, no wind run. He wind runned already to get into this fight, and now may find himself in trouble. Loda manning up, but potentially should be on the run. He'll blink back to S4. Get me out of here, S4, and S4 will oblige. And in the end, they lose a Windrunner, they get a Rubik, the Aegis pop, so you gotta say, if anything, advantage EG off of that fight.
Yeah, small advantage goes to EG, but the problem is EG back off and they have to go heal, whereas Alliance is straight back to farming. Bulldog goes bottom, he's back to farming. You've got Aki in the jungle as well, he's finished a Ghost Scepter with his mech, and Loda, despite having lost his Aegis, he's still quite comfortably farming this middle lane.
You know, it's really a signature style for the Alliance. They don't generally pick the huge 5-man lineup, but they farm so that they have the stronger 5-man composition. And that's what we're seeing now is with items like Scythe the Vice at, I think he's even had it for a minute or two at this point, 27 minutes maybe for Admiral Bulldog on that Scythe device. Obviously, Loda getting Lifesteal, a Basher, then you mentioned how farm the supports are. Mechanism and Ghost Scepter and Ake, they get these items that allow them to 5-man effectively, and then a Windrunner with the Force Staff. So sure, they don't have the big AoE team fight, but they have the items that allow them to take fights head on. And on top of that, for the most part, they've been getting the better initiations. There was the one bad engagement bottom, but even then, EG couldn't really punish the positioning of S4.
No, EG just really finding it hard to punish some of these positioning errors that are coming from Alliance, which are just so few and far between. But we'll see what they can do once they get Gio his MKB. Then their damage output does quite significantly increase, and he's going to have that in just 40 gold now. So the next team fight for EG, they have that. We saw the Blink initiation from Fear last time helping them catch up S4, and that's going to be crucial once again. Maybe we even see Lifesteal look to invest inside him instead of someone like the Darkseer.
And all of a sudden, that Lasso for Fear gets a lot stronger. You blink in with the dagger, you lasso, and Demon surges you right before you do it or right after. And then you just scurry away, carrying that PA in tow. So it does give them that lockdown they were lacking, because stealing Lasso is one thing, but stealing Lasso and having a Blink Dagger and Surge, you're basically Batrider, albeit a squishy Batrider, but you are Batrider in that sense.
Yeah, and Loda's now going to speed KB. So you mentioned some of these these decent items that EG are getting. It's going to be very largely countered by Loda. You've got the physical damage coming out from Gyrocopter and to some extent the Lifestealer, but I don't know whether it's going to actually be enough. The MKB is great because the PA has so much evasion that you need this item if you want to do damage, and it looks like Lifesteal's even going for an MKB of his own.
And there's even a Windrunner in this game, so EGM has evasion as well. It's really an important item.
Yeah, definitely agree here. S4, he's going to lead the charge here. Alliance is smoked up. They're trying to find a pick off at the top lane. The entire team smoked. EG, though, they're all grouped up. They smell that something's up. They've even got a Sentry Ward, so if they can get some vision, they'll see this smoke. But right now, lacking vision.
Well, the Observer Ward deployed, and now EG know. The jig is up. They were watching the hill. Great awareness from them.
They see the Observer Ward get placed, and they know exactly who is there. S4's still looking, though.
Oh, they're on the hunt. The Alliance, they want to kidnap EG from their own doorstep, take them away from Mama, and send them to pay the piper, but unable to do so.
I love Demon. Demon just surged. Beaters, EG were 5-man going down towards the Ancients, and Beaters was at the back, so Demon surges him so he doesn't get caught out alone. It was a very small little play, but something you can just see that EG are thinking of every possibility.
They do seem a lot more polished in terms of their overall movement and team decision-making, especially in this game than... Let's be honest, this EG team, their signature style has been the high-risk, high-reward play of Demon and Bambo. This feels a little bit more stable and patient from them. I don't know if it will be enough, but I'm impressed by what I've seen. It's something they'll really need to continue to work on as the qualifiers, the Western qualifiers for the International 3 begin tomorrow, hosted by the GD Studio. Very excited for those games, as well as for the Eastern qualifiers coming up a week later, but we will see Bambo get blinked and then lassoed back by S4. Now the cavalry comes. Bambo caught on a cliff. Not really where he wants to be. Called out and vacuum deployed. Only catches the creeps. Not ideal. Now Jo on the run. Off the bat, the Lifestealer out of the fight. Jo forced to driven back. No bashes when Loda needs them, though. And he'll continue to chase. Can he get in range? S4 force stabs himself forward. They're just not quite able, but there's Bulldog, additional teleport in, and now another dagger. Jo can't fight his way out. He will get picked off. And it's just the Alliance, they got really the hero that wants to be in the front lines. In that Lifestealer, out of the fight immediately, and then EG just were in a headlong retreat.
Yeah, EG, once they're on the back foot, it's all over for them. The chasing power of a Batrider with Blink as well as Force Up and a Nature's Prophet who can just TP to catch you out is just too damn strong. So EG have to remain on the front foot from the start of every single fight, or they lose and lose bad.
And now Loda's gonna work away on this tower, chipping away at it. We'll see a Scythe on the Beatas in the back lines. They catch one. S4, no lasso just yet. Demon, he's deployed the vacuum, as well as the Ion Shell, but the Alliance still in a great position here to take the lane of Rax, unless there's buyback. That's the question now. No buyback on our Gyrocopter, no buyback on our Keeper of the Light. That shiny MKB doesn't do much for you when you're dead, and Lasso is online. If they find one more, this might be 2 lanes of Rax, and S4's hunting, but he gets open wounds, and now Bambo looks to man up. There is an additional Force Staff to bring him to safety. So they haven't claimed Rax yet, but they brought it down to half HP, and I think it's time to back off. Gyrocopters return. 5 heroes about to be back up, but the Alliance, they've gotten what they came for. They got a bunch of gold. They got a tier 3 tower. They got some aggressive lane wards down. They're in a comfy position.
Yeah, they'll play it safe. They're just going to sit back and see S4 get sent home here as well. He's got 4.7k gold. BKB just bought straight up right off the bat by him. So Alliance, they're back to farming a little bit. They'll get their next item up. Then they'll look for another push maybe. Roshan also respawning in about 2-3 minutes time. So they'll probably quite happily take a team fight there. EG's team fight is just a bit lacking now that the BKBs are up, because the only real heroes that can do damage there is Gyrocopter, Lifestealer to a lesser extent, but Rubik, Darkseid, Keeper of the Light, these heroes will be very, very irrelevant soon.
The problem is really going to be that I just don't feel like EG can get that team fight. Their lineup is predicated to a large extent on just hitting the AoE combo. The cooldown, the flat cannon, and the vacuum. If they can hit that, I feel they have a great shot. But the problem is, I don't see how they're going to hit it with the mobility of the Alliance. So many Force stats that you mentioned, the Blink Dagger on Batrider. Loda is very mobile with phase, drums, and a BKB to ensure you can't slow him down aside from the cooldown slow, which does go through BKB. So there's really not much they could do. Even Bulldog is mobile with phase boots, teleport, and Shadowblade. How do you hit this combo? I'm just not sure.
Even if you try vacuum into a cooldown.
Fear, he stole a teleport. What an incredibly cute play. And Bulldog is saying,
well played,
surprise.
He's still got a few tricks up his sleeves.
The old man.
Even in his old age.
You could definitely teach this old dog new tricks. My goodness.
Well, I saw a picture of him at it was one of the EG players' birthday parties, sipping on his New Zealand fine white wine. So he's got some class to him, and that gank there, very, very classy.
I don't think Bulldog would agree with you. Bulldog's probably saying that was just unmanly, dishonorable, to be totally honest. Come at me head on, Fear. What you doing? Then again, Bulldog's playing dishonorable Dota on that Nature's Prophet, so.
Oh yeah, 100% there. But EG, that's sort of like, I guess a breath of fresh air for them, where they can look to. I guess they've used that trick once, so whether or not they can catch Alliance with it once again, probably unlikely. But hey, they'll probably try once, and Fetz is back up online.
It is in 40 seconds. It is.
And
they now have double MKB. They feel confident to take this fight at the Roche Pit. They're hoping.
Comes buyback.
Oh man, and this is also where Batrider is king with BKB.
BGM's not there.
We'll have to see if he can come in time. He's gonna wind run his way over. They don't have any way to bring him into this fight. Roshan's at half, but in comes S4. Buyback from Bulldog. They pull Bambo up on the cliff. He will go down. Out of the fight, off the back. The cooldown is gonna miss again. Just unable to find a good cooldown vacuum combo. The Shivas comes out, but the Crit Lord is here. Loda on the hunt. Demon on the run. Gets bashed. No, not yet. But Flame Break back. Loda just needs one hit. You can't run from PA, even when you have Surge. Look at the move speed. Look at the damage. The bash finally arrives, and down he'll go. And that's a Roche going the Alliance's way. That's 2, actually make it 3. Core heroes dead, and that might just be Rax as a result. Rax already exposed bottom. EG, they won't have the wall. They'll have the vacuum cooldown combo. If they respawn in time, I don't think they can actually take this next push.
No, it's going to be really, really difficult when you chuck an Aegis and load as well. And the big issue is, landing these callers, you can't even blame Jiro. The problem is, even with a vacuum,
there's no
all
stun.
These heroes have, they have Force Staff, they have Ultra Mobility. Phase Boot plus Drum gives you the mobility to just outrun the cooldown. You see it coming, you can just mobility out of S4. He's just going man mode here. He's trying to go in on Fear. Fear not able to escape this one. It looks like S4. He's fine. Oh,
is he really gonna live? And now Beat is in trouble as well. He'll get bashed and he will go down too. Unstoppable. EG just getting rolled over in the shadow of their own tier 3. Bambo's gonna rage, and immediately everyone just runs, except for Loda, who mans up. He'll be taking a lot of damage here. The missile was unfortunately not targeted on him. The shackle as well. Gonna connect to the corpse onto Jo. Jo will drop, and now it's Demon 1 by 1. EG are just charging into the meat grinder, and boy, oh boy, are they getting ground up and spit out. Demon next in line. It's going to be a team wipe. Loda looking for the Blink, afraid of the Ion Shell damage, but he's going to go for it. Yes, he is. He's going to not get the kill. S4 snipes it in the end, and that's 5 heroes dead inside of the base. And they're going to get 2 lanes of racks, almost certainly, off of this one.
Yeah, not the best damage left. Loda still has the Aegis Zone, the Abyssal Blade complete. Vita's going to harass him a little bit. Loda says, thank you very much. There's your crit.
The ability for a Phantom Assassin to close the gap is absolutely sensational. You can literally dagger someone. Just look at the AoE on that. With phase drums as well, you can almost call it a screen and a half by the time that Keeper of the Light actually turns the run, as far as how far away he has to be safe, and it just wasn't nearly enough there.
The beauty of this PA build as well is like, one hit you crit, the next hit you bash. Either way, you're happy and you probably get the kill. So you only need one of those to proc. If both proc, you're great, but if only one procs, you're probably still fine as well.
And the dagger is just so spammable. You get so many extra attacks off. You can have the dagger slow on somebody every 4 seconds out of 8. 50% of the game, you can slow an individual target, and it was enough. It really was. The Alliance, they're now up by 2 lanes of racks. 40 minutes in. EG didn't even play poorly this game. The Alliance were just better. Their decision-making a little bit more polished. The engagements they took just a little bit more favorable. And the way the Alliance built, from getting those mobility items to the fact that EG, they didn't have a follow-up to the call-down vacuum combo. Something like a Magnus. We'll see a Blink in now. Looking to pull back JO. He will be lassoed, held in place. Now Loda jumps in, finds one. Once more, Bambo, you can't win the man mode fight. Not today. And the chase is on towards Demon. They're actually, no, make it beat us. Call it a dead Gandalf. And one more to follow. Demon looking to die at his own tier 4. Well, he's not looking to, but he will be nonetheless. Off with his head, says Loda, and off it'll go. Game 1 of this best of 3 goes the way of the Alliance.
Wow, Alliance just not missing a beat. They've been the dominant, the best team in the Western scene, hands down. No one can really argue that. Na'Vi's reign of terror is over. It's now Alliance who are the top dogs in Europe, in America, in the Western scene, and they're showing it here. A very strong performance. EG had some decent lanes here, but once Alliance get going, they never really fall behind.
Yeah, we'll have to see if EG can strike back. This Alliance team, they get off hot, and they don't look back. And right now, they're off to a hot start versus EG. It started slow. It seemed like EG, if anything, maybe had them figured out with the aggressive wards, but just better rotations from the Alliance through the mid game. And then later on, just superior engagements, and EG just unable to punish the initiations. 1 crit, 1 kill. Loda with that rapier going to work in the fountain. Can he find another? That crit was for 2.6k and change. Call it a total smackdown in the fountain. That'll be the end of game 1. But it is, of course, a best of 3 on our quadruple header. Day 1 of not day 1, but our grand finals day. Game 1 of our grand finals day. We've got a lot more action heading your way, guys. 3 best of 3s followed by a best of 5, a total of 4 series. By the time today is done, $10,000, approximately a little bit less than that, in cash prizes, as well as gear prizes will be handed out. Only one team can be your WePlay.tv Dota 2 League champions. Who will it be? Stay tuned to find out. Game 2 of this best of 3 coming up next.